Holiness is about separation. And we usually think of holiness in religious terms, in spiritual terms. But since holiness means separation, it just means to set it apart from the common. There's no holiness in our culture, in our Western culture or society anymore. And I'm not just talking spiritually, that's obvious because our Western society is morally bankrupt and there's nothing sacred anymore in the spiritual realm. So I'm not really honing in and focusing in on that because that's the obvious. But there's a different aspect to holiness because holiness means to be set apart from that which is common. And I'm seeing no holiness within our culture anymore. Everything has become common. There's been a breakdown within our culture in regards to respect, in regards to custom and tradition and protocol. I know as a young person, and I know growing up, I felt that if I followed the cultural norms and the cultural construct and caved into the cultural protocol of what was acceptable in regards to respect and distinction of separateness, I felt that my own individuality was being squashed or imposed upon. But the older I get, the wiser that one becomes, hopefully, and the more I'm realizing and seeing the necessity and need for culture, custom, tradition, holiness, separateness. Think of it this way. Back in the day, well, let me preface that. Let me preface what I'm about to say with this. Nowadays, people feel that they don't want to be fake. They want to be real. And they think that to be real, they've got to be their unabridged, unaltered self. That they have to be full force in the raw to be real. But that's not necessarily so. You could still be real and still follow cultural constructs of protocol, rank, and respect. You can still be real, and you're not being fake in being that. You're just showing respect. Not only respect to others that are elders or that may be in higher rank or authority than you, but you're showing respect to yourself. Now, to continue on with what I was about to say, back in the day, a woman wouldn't even dare step out of her house unless she had her hair done, her makeup was done, and she was wearing proper clothing. And people were saying, oh, well, you're just trying to make women, an object or a thing, and you're wanting them to be made up, and you're not accepting, your beauty standards are obscuring your view of what a woman is, and a woman needs to be herself and in the raw. And the pendulum has swung the totally opposite direction. Instead of a woman, making sure her hair and her makeup is done and her clothes are modest and clean, now anything goes. A woman can go out in her curlers without makeup, in her pajamas, in her fleece pajamas. Now, to me, that's disgusting. Like, I hate going to Walmart and seeing somebody walk around in house slippers and fleece pajama bottoms with no bra, and they just have a baggy shirt. I'm thinking, you not only do not have any respect for me because I don't want to see that, you have no respect for yourself. And I'm not just talking about women here. I know I've used women as an example, but men do the same thing. It's disgusting. I don't want to see that. If you want to be comfortable in your own home, that's great. Or let's say it's an emergency. It's in the middle of the night and your child is sick and you're making a run to the drugstore to grab something. If you're wearing your pajamas, I don't care. It's an emergency. You're getting something from your family. You're just going in, going right back out. But to just go grocery shopping in your pajamas, there is no holiness. There is no separation. There is no respect. in our society anymore. Everything has become common. Therefore, everything has become mundane. Therefore, we have nothing to look forward to, an anxious expectation. We have nothing to excite us or anything with the excitement of preparation, because everything is common. I mean, my goodness, people go to weddings and funerals dressed in jeans and t-shirts today. Jeans and t-shirts. They don't even dress up for special occasions. And I do understand and realize that there are some impoverished people in our society whom their best outfit is a pair of jeans and t-shirt. I'm not knocking that. If you want to go to church or synagogue and all you have is a nice, crisp, clean pair of sweatpants, then go. Don't let anything stop you from going to church or synagogue, and nobody should condemn you. But if you can do better, and I'm not saying you have to be dressed to the nines, I'm not saying that you have to be dressed in a tuxedo, I'm not saying you have to be dressed in a suit and tie. But have respect for other people and have respect for yourself. Have respect for God. I grew up hearing that if you go to church, you dress your best because you're dressing for the Lord. And me, to be honest with you, I was a teenager. I'm like, don't squash my individuality. I'm going in ripped jeans and a t-shirt because that's the best I have. I was just basically bucking against the norm. But the older I get, the more wisdom I see in that. It's not that it was trying to squash my individuality. It was showing my love and my respect in the way I conducted myself and the way I dressed. I could still be me because who I really am is not the clothes that I wear. Who I really am is who I am on the inside, and it expresses itself in my attitude and outward demeanor. Could I still be a Christian heavy metal headbanger as a teenager dressed in a shirt and tie? Of course I could. Now we see like these rock bands back in the spandex and hair days of the 80s, dressing in ripped jeans and t-shirts and gobs of necklaces and jewelry and everything. And now we see that it's kind of hip and chic for rock bands to dress up a little bit. So you could still express your individuality and still be dressy. You don't have to be a cookie cutter fashion plate and dress like everybody else dresses. Because when I was in Bible college, I had to wear slacks and a dress shirt and a tie. And I hated to dress up. So I went to the Goodwill and found loud, polyester, wide-collared, crazy print t-shirts and ties that didn't match. I created my own style, and I rocked it, man. And I loved it because I was expressing who I was as an individual, yet still keeping within the rules. And still, creating a separateness. And that's what the attitude of the Bible college was all about. Not that you were holier than thou or better than anybody else, but in your education, you wanted to be a cut above. You wanted to be the cream of the crop. You wanted to stand apart. You wanted to be separate. You didn't want to be like the frat houses and sororities in the secular colleges. You wanted to conduct yourself in a way that was honoring and pleasing to God. So the older I get, I used to totally dig going to church in jeans and a t-shirt. But now that I'm getting older, I'm kind of wanting to dress up a little more. Kind of like, what was the guy's name off of How I Met Your Mother, Barney. He loved suits. He dug the suit, man. He rocked the suit. He dressed in suits as his everyday clothes because he loved them so much. And that was who he was. That was the individual he was. Everybody else wore jeans and t-shirts. That's fine. But, the older I get, the more that I'm wanting to dress up, not so I can impress somebody, not so that I can show somebody up or think that I'm better or more holy because I'm dressed up, but because I want to, because I want to respect myself and I want to respect God and I want to respect other people. So if I'm honoring somebody and going to a special occasion such as a birthday or an anniversary or a wedding or a funeral, I want to dress up because I want to respect that person and show my respect for that person by wearing my best. I just don't want to go. And now it's acceptable for people just to go in jeans and t-shirts. The next step in that parade is people showing up to a wedding in their pajamas. They're already showing up to Walmart in their pajamas. For crying out loud. To me, that shows that they have no self-esteem and no self-respect, let alone respect for their neighbor or for somebody else. I don't know what caused me to go on this rant. But maybe this will help somebody. Maybe this will be edifying for somebody. Maybe they'll be able to see protocol and culture in the Western eyes, and maybe through a different mindset, and think of it in a way that they've never thought of it before. Because the older I get, the more I think about the things that my parents said and tried to instill in me. And they weren't as stupid and as dumb as I thought they were. And in reality, they weren't trying to rain on my parade or squash my individuality. They were just trying to show me holiness. Not saying that dressing up in a suit and tie makes you holy. It doesn't. It just, remember the word holiness in a secular sense, not religious, not a spiritual sense. We're talking about a secular sense. Holiness just means separation, to be separate, to be different. Why do we dress up for birthday parties? Why do we dress up for special occasions? Because it's not common. It's not every day. It's not mundane. It's not humdrum. It's not routine. It's different. Therefore, we want to dress different to accent and accentuate the separateness of that particular day or occasion. Even in Judaism, that's why we dress in certain ways in Judaism. That's why it's tradition to wear all white on Yom Kippur. That's why it's traditional to wear certain articles of clothing during Passover. That's why that's why we do these things, because those are holy days in the spiritual sense and in the secular sense, because it's separate, it's different. That's why we treat Sabbath differently. We don't dress like we dress during the days of the week. We dress differently on Sabbath. We don't do the same things we do every day of the week that we do on Sabbath. We do different things on Sabbath. We dress, in our work clothes or in our jeans and t-shirts during the days of the week. On the Sabbath, we dress out of love and respect for God when we go to church or synagogue. We don't work on that day. We rest on that day. It's different. When we come home, yeah, we can shed the monkey suit, as some people like to call dress clothes, and to slip into something more comfortable, and we kick back and we relax, and we enjoy family and friends, and we enjoy the presence of God, and we recreate. The word recreate is recreation. We recreate ourselves during the Sabbath because it's set apart, it's holy, and we become new. We recharge and refresh ourselves by not doing the same thing we do throughout the week. We need to bring back holiness into our life. Absolutely in a spiritual sense, but also in a secular sense. We need to bring back holiness. We need to highlight special occasions, highlight special events, highlight special days, honor and respect authority and hierarchy. I mean, still in the South, it's very common for the younger people to say yes, sir, yes, ma'am to their parents, and to say ma'am and sir to strangers, and not call them by their first name or whatever, or call them Mr., Ms., or Miss so-and-so. And we've kind of lost that in the North, and we've kind of lost that in Western culture in general, where we're not being brought up with customs and traditions, but whatever you want, whatever you say, however you feel goes. Just do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. Did you know that's a quote from the Satanic Bible? And that's the way our secular society lives now. There's no separation. There's no holiness. It's if it feels good, do it. Do what thou wilt is the whole of the law. Do whatever you want. Rules are made to be broken. Rules and regulations don't matter. Respect and authority doesn't matter. We're all supposed to be the same. We're all supposed to be equal. No, it's not that way in society. It's not that way in the spirit. It's not that way scripturally. We all have to answer to someone. And even scripturally, there was a order and a hierarchy of respect that was set forth in society, within the home, within the community, within the church/synagogue, from secular to spiritual to religious. There's a hierarchy. And the only time that the hierarchy is wrong is when the power within the hierarchy is abused, or when the hierarchy itself is disrespected. Because even God said the secular governments are there to do the work of the Lord, and obey them unless they go against what God himself has said. Well, guys, I've rambled on long enough. This has been an edition of Ray Bash's Ramblings. I'm Chris Shoemaker, also known as Yehuda Ben Shamer. Thanks so much for listening, and hopefully I gave you something to chew on and think about. Love you guys. Shalom and Shavua Tov.
Yo, you've heard of Straight Out of Compton, but have you ever heard of Straight Out of Context? Straight Out of Context is a new video series on the Ray Bash Katan YouTube channel, and it highlights how we take scripture out of context, but does it in a very humorous way. Check it out. Word. Peace out.